that. Amazing. Okay, let's get straight on into the training. Now, if you have any questions or anything at all, just type them in the chat or speak up, whatever it may be. But let's get into it. Training fundamentals this week. So why we need to be strength-based training, and why, as you ladies know, this is what I primarily focus on in your workouts, is strength-based training. Obviously, I'm a big fan of diversifying your workouts, trying new things and all of that, but there is a reason why I do make your workouts primarily strength-based training. So it increases muscle mass. With that, it also increases your metabolism. You burn more calories weight training than, like, say, running on a treadmill. I mean, that's very dependent on so many factors, but especially because you do, as you build more muscle and as you strength train, you have increased metabolism, all of that, it all kind of ties in together. It creates better body mechanics, which help with everyday tasks and movement. So think of things like, holding your children, or like picking a box up off the floor, putting something up high, or moving around. It allows better body mechanics for that. It gives your body shape, and, like, I don't like to use the word tone, but it does. It gives you that toned look. It gives you the booty gains. It increases muscular endurance, and it also strengthens bones, which is probably one of the most important things when we're talking about our health, because when we get older, one of the first things that tend to go are our bones. So making sure we're looking after that now so that we run into less issues later down the track. Training split. So we're just going to be going over all the terminology, because some of this, again, like some of you, I know I keep repeating myself, but I know a lot of you are more advanced and you know this kind of stuff, and you've seen this training or you've seen something similar, but also there's a lot of you who haven't, and all of that. So I want to just make sure I am going over all the basics. And if there are any questions at the end, we can obviously answer those. So training splits. The way training splits are created is individualized based on many factors. It does depend on, like, your physique, your goals, how often you can train, injuries, weak points, etc. So training splits essentially mean, like, how you're splitting your muscles in your training. So for example, a training split could be 3 full body days. A training split could be 3 lower, 2 upper. It's a really popular one to go for. Or you could do, like, push, pull legs, push, pull legs. You could do 3 upper body days, 2 lower body days. You could do, like mine, for example, I've got a lower day, upper, lower, upper, then quads and arms. So random, but that's because that's what I need. So that's what a training split is. It's how you split up your body parts in your training over the week. If you're a beginner, training splits will be more like overall strength-based, targeting all areas, because you really want to nail the basics and kind of help grow all over. As you do get a bit more advanced, the more nitpicky you can be with the program split to hit weak areas. Not one size fits all. So, like, for example, I'll use my client Annie, for example. She obviously started with me a year ago, doing a 12-week program, just like you guys are now. And it was we're focusing on just, like, overall building strength and muscle in all areas. Like, the programming was very, like, targeting all areas, all of that. Recently, as her, like, she's advanced a little bit more, we can, like, see, okay, what are her weak points? What's her goal? I have tailored training to only focus on really what we need to, like, focus on. So there's a little bit of a touch of shoulders, because she doesn't need to work on shoulders. And there's a lot of back, because she needs to work on back. So you can, like, tinker around and play with those things in your training split to hit areas that you need to grow to get the desired shape, or areas you want to get stronger in. Everyone's goal is different. So workouts will generally start with a compound movement. We'll go through what that means in one moment. Then it will be followed by a series of isolation movement patterns. Now, this is a general rule of thumb. It's not always this way. So I do want to note that this isn't like law or Bible or whatever. Like, that general rule of thumb, you generally start with your compound movements, then you follow with your isolation. Although sometimes you'll see I will put extras into the program at the start that may need extra volume or growth, or maybe it's a little bit more of like a activation movement or warm up. So, like, for example, you might see like abductions at the start of the workout, and maybe that's more of like an activation movement before you move into RDLs, or like something like that. Sometimes I also do put, like, if there's a weaker body part, I might put it to the start of like another day. So let's just say on upper body day, I might put glutes at the start of the workout, just to give it more volume over the entire week. It's not very, I used to do this a lot more. It's not very common I do it anymore within my own programming, but that's just an example of like, okay, if there's a body part we really want to like nail and get more volume on, I might add like a bit of glutes or calves to the start of an upper body day, for example. So as I said, like, this is a general rule of thumb. Again, it just depends on the individual. It depends on the goal. It depends on a range of different factors. But if we're speaking about, general rule of thumb, you start with your compound and then you move to your isolation. I'm going to explain why we do it in that way and what even a compound or an isolation is. So what is a compound movement? A compound movement is a movement that uses multiple muscle parts and mechanics. They work multiple muscle groups at the same time, to put it simply. So examples of compounds are things like squats, deadlifts, bench press, barbell row, overhead barbell press. And these are the big 5 main compounds. They're very small. But like, for example, a squat. What muscle groups are you? Let's do a quiz, actually. I'm not even going to list them out. Let's do a quiz. I know you girls might be busy, but I'd be super interested to hear. I know there's only 2 of you on, but anyway, let's start with an easy one. What muscle groups are used in a deadlift? Core, back, and legs. Yep. So I would say, yeah. So obviously your core, your back, so your lats, I would also say your lower back as well. And then I would say your hamstrings, glutes, and even quads a little bit. And if we're talking both conventional and sumo, your quads as well. So yeah, bang on. So see how there's like multiple muscle groups that you use in a deadlift. That's a compound movement. Now, the reason that compound movements are used generally at the start of the workout is because they use so many muscle groups and mechanics. It takes a whole lot more energy. Like, the difference between like how much energy a leg extension takes versus how much energy a deadlift takes. Like, it's quite different. So we want to make sure with those main lifts that we are prioritizing them towards the start of our workouts when our energy is fresh, because if we were to do them towards the end, and don't get me wrong, there is times I do compounds towards the end of the workout, but generally not really at all. But that way we're using like fresh energy and we're not fatigued, because if we go through a whole workout and then smash out some deadlifts at the end, you're not going to be getting the most out of your lift. It's gonna, like, the safety aspect is lower. Like, you could get the risk of injury or all of that is a little bit higher. So hopefully that all makes sense with the compound movement. Let me just close the chat. What is an isolation movement? So an isolation movement is a movement or exercise that isolates one muscle group. So the examples are things like leg extension, leg curl, bicep curl, tricep pushdowns, hammer curls, all of that. These are also known as a concentration exercise. So when you think of a leg extension, what muscle is being activated? Literally just the quads, right? Like, you're just activating those quads. And obviously I just thought of a whole other like slide I could have put in here and I didn't, but that's fine. I would like briefly touch on it. But then also like bicep curl, what muscle gets used? Your bicep. Like, that's it. There's no other, what's the thing? When I've been doing straight down pull-ups, I feel it hectic in my core. Do you think that means I'm going too heavy? No, because you do generally use your core in every movement. Like, as long as you're activate, you don't want to let your core loose, is what I'm saying. Are you primarily feeling it like in your core and not in straight pull downs? Oh yeah, I see what you mean. Are you primarily feeling it in your core so much that it is taking away from you feeling it in your lats? That's what I would be super interested to know, because that will obviously, like, if you can feel it more in your core than you can your lats, then it's like, okay, maybe we are going too heavy because you're not feeling it in the muscle group you're meant to. Pull downs they're a bit more of a complex exercise though. I feel it in my core a lot. And yeah, so much in my core, but it doesn't really feel heavy. That makes sense. Totally. Okay, so I would say you will feel it in your core a little bit, but I'd say if you're feeling it so much in your core, you're not feeling it in your lats, drop the weight. I know it might not feel heavy enough, but this is where you can focus on really that the basics, like the mind muscle connection, time under tension. Because like the thing about weight training, like I could train with like 2 kilogram weights and I will find a way to make it challenging for myself because of I've had practice using my muscle connection and slowing it down, which will benefit me, a lot more. So I would say, Leash, even if you want to take a video and send it to me and I can look over everything. But yeah, even if it doesn't feel that heavy, I would rather you're going to feel a little bit in your core, as I said. Like, I don't want to say not feel it in your core, but I do want you to feel it where you're meant. So for a pull down, you want to be feeling it in your lats, in your back primarily. I had a similar issue with straight pull downs is I wouldn't feel it. I'd feel it in my core and my triceps. And I was like, oh, what's going on? But I just had to lessen the weight, even though it felt too light. And I was like, am I even doing anything? It's better to do that. Actually feel the muscles you're meant to. Core and triceps. Yeah, literally. I was the exact same. So what I had to do is strip it back. It felt like I wasn't pushing hard enough or anything, but I was able to really feel it where I need to feel. And the times I actually do find I feel it in my core and triceps now is when I lose focus, and maybe whether I've gone too heavy or I just lose a bit of focus, because it happens in our workouts. We lose a bit of focus sometimes and we don't focus on, okay, what am I actually activating and doing? So yeah, something to think about. I'm glad we had that little conversation though. That's awesome. I love when these are a bit more interactive. So moving on to the next. All right. I want to talk about strength versus hypertrophy. Actually, before I get into that, I want to talk about, I'm going back. It's the slide that I was like, damn, I should have put this slide in, but I didn't. With certain movements, we do have muscles. So with an isolation, let's go back. Obviously, we isolate just let's talk about a tricep push pull down. So obviously I'm trying to find an example that's like easy to understand. Let's go with chest press. So I want to talk about agonist and antagonist muscle groups. So it's not going to take me long to talk about this, but it's just something interesting to know about. So obviously when you do a chest press, right, you have your primary movers and then you're assisting. So your primary mover is your chest, but what's assisting that movement? Your tricep. So even in exercises where they're not directly, like, this is why, okay, my brain's going everywhere right now. I'm so sorry. I'm like thinking of all these things I need to say. So let's talk about a chest press. And so obviously in chest press, primary mover is your chest. Like assisting mover is your triceps. That's probably why I don't program as much bicep and tricep work in your workouts. I know you may have noticed that. Obviously, it's different person to person, but I don't program a whole bunch of triceps, biceps, because what assists like a chest press? Our triceps. What assists a shoulder press? Our triceps, even our biceps. What assists a lat pull down? Obviously, the primary mover is our lats. But what assists that movement? Our biceps. So I just wanted to touch on that a little bit more, something to think about. Like, okay, if you're doing a movement, what's, primarily being used in this movement and what other muscle groups are helping it? Just a cool little, I need to add a slide and it would probably explain it better, but I just wanted to include that point in there. Let me know if that made sense, what I was talking about. It was just like a random little bit of theory I wanted to just throw at you guys. So strength versus hypertrophy. This is an important one I do want to talk about. Chat, makes sense. Okay, glad. I'm like, just these calls, like I obviously create these PowerPoints, but then I just say what comes to my mind. And sometimes my mind runs wild and there's so much stuff that comes up. That's why I'm starting a podcast, so I can just chat shit. So don't get the two confused. So training for strength obviously we're strength training, right? But there's strength versus hypertrophy. Both are with lifting weights, but I want to explain the difference. Training for strength refers to building numbers on the weight you are lifting. So, that progressive overload and that getting PBs and getting actually stronger, lifting more weight, that's training for strength. Training for hypertrophy is training for muscle building. So this isn't necessarily, I always say, this is my favorite thing to say to you girls, more weight lifted does not equal more muscle mass. And I'll repeat it again. More weight lifted does not equal more muscle mass. Okay, I have a lot of my weights I use, they don't go up that much. So like, that's why, you know, I sometimes get people come to me, and obviously increasing weight and increasing strength is important. I'm not disregarding that, but I have sometimes people come to me and they're like, oh, just my weights aren't progressing. And I'm like, it's okay. They're not going to progress each and every week at the start of your journey. They absolutely will. As you move through, it's going to be slower and slower and slower. So just want to explain that difference. As I said, more weight lifted does not equal more muscle mass, but you can do both within your programming. Oh, Kirsty's back. She must have dropped off. That's so fine. You can do both within your programming. I am a big fan of doing both when I program for you girls, because both are equally just as important. Training for hypertrophy is, I'm just obviously generally speaking, but is generally the nature of a lot of your girls' goals with changing your body. Training for strength is extremely important for our day-to-day life. And I don't, you know, we're in healthy girl era. We're not focusing we are focusing on our bodies and our like everything. That's great. But we're also focusing on like, how can I be healthy for the long term? What's going to help me outside of my, like, what's, you know, outside of my body? How can I be better? Like, and, you know, improve my health in different ways that is going to benefit me for like actual life. Progressive overload. Let's chat about this. So progressive overload is utilized within training to help strength and muscle gains. The idea is that you lift higher volume over time with each workout, not higher weights, higher volume, which is kind of weight. I'll explain it. So you can create higher volume through a wide variety of ways, not just by lifting heavier. So each and every week, you don't need to just keep getting PBs and PBs and PBs for you to implement progressive overload. As I said, at the start of your journey, that will be what it looks like. It absolutely will. But as you get more advanced, that's going to slow down. It's going to slow down, and it's completely normal. But there are different ways you can include or incorporate progressive overload, because we need progressive overload in our training to progress, hence the word. So different ways you can do this is by doing more reps. So, you know, you might see you have 3 sets of 10 to 12. One week you might do 10 reps, then the next week you might do 12. And by doing that, you've lifted more volume since the last workout. You could do more sets, which I don't generally do within programming, but you can do that. Is just add an additional set. You're increasing the overall volume of since last time. You could do drop sets, rest pause, partial reps, reps of failure, or just simply lifting heavier is also a way. Let's enter Kirstine again. She might be having issues with getting on. And I'm going to explain what drop sets, rest pause, partial reps, reps of failure, like I'm going to explain what they mean. They are in your welcome package, but I will explain that a little bit more as well. But they are also ways like incorporating those intensity principles, because even if you're training to failure, it might be a little bit more than you did last week, or doing drop sets and like all of that sort of stuff. It's overall increasing your overall volume. Let me know if that all makes sense so far. Give a thumbs up, or like a something if it all makes sense. I'm gonna assume that it's all good. Yep, all good. Amazing. All right, now we're gonna go through these intensity principles, because I do get a lot of questions on like what these mean. So it's important to go through them. So drop sets. This is where you will start on your heaviest weight and for you and complete the prescribed rep range, for example, 10 reps. Then you want to drop the weight and complete another 10 reps, and then drop the weight one last time and complete another 10 with no rest in between dropping the weight. So an example, you go on leg extension, you've just in the programming, it says do 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps. On the last set, do a drop set. So you do 2 sets where you've done 40 kilograms of 10 reps. You rest between, that's cool. You're coming up to your 3rd set, and it said on your 3rd set, like last set, drop set. So on your last set, which is your 3rd set, do a drop set. This is how it would look. Do the 40 kilograms that you've been doing for 10 reps, and then immediately drop the weight to 35 and do another 10 reps. Then drop it again to 30 and do another 10 reps with no rest in between. The amount of drop, like how far you drop it, is just up to what you feel like. It's hard to say an exact number because it's going to be different depending on the muscle group you're training, but you just drop the weight, do another 10, drop the weight, do another 10, or whatever the prescribed rep range is. So that is a drop set. Right, rest pause. So this is where you complete an exercise with the prescribed amount of reps, rest for 10 seconds, perform the exercise to failure, rest another 10 seconds, and then complete another set to failure. So we're essentially adding like another 2 sets. So, but to failure. So for example, the leg extension, same example as before, you have 3 sets, and then I've said on the last set, do a rest pause. So you've done 2 sets of 40 kilograms at 10 reps, coming up to your 3rd set, which is your last set. You go and you do 40 kilograms of 10 reps. So you prescribe rep range, you have a 10-second rest. Then you do the same weight. You don't change the weight. You go again until failure. Then you do a 10-second rest, and then you go again till failure. It's nasty, it's gross, but it's great at the same time. Partial repetitions. So again, this is complete the exercise to prescribe reps, then continue to perform the exercise using half reps until failure, and then continue the exercise using quarter reps or failure with no rest in between. So same example, you've done, in the program, it says 3 sets, leg extension, 8 to 10 reps, last set, partial reps. You've done your first 2. Now it's up to the last one. You go 40 kilograms for 10 reps. And then once you've done that, you can do the same weight. So you keep it the same weight the whole way through. You then do half reps till failure. Once you've reached half reps till failure, do quarter reps / like little pulses until failure, all at the same weight. Hopefully that'll make sense. Static holds. I don't do this a whole bunch, but we do, like I do here and there. So this is where at the peak of the moment, hold the repetition there for as long as possible or as prescribed. So sometimes I don't generally say like static hold, but I might say like hold for 3 seconds at the top, or hold for half a second at the top, or that sort of thing, or a peak of movement. It just, think about a wall sit. It's like similar to that. Like it's that holding that like static movement. So don't need to elaborate on that. It's pretty self-explanatory. So supersets, these I do use. I do love. They're great. So superset is 2 exercises grouped together. You guys are probably very familiar with it if you have moved through the program already. So you're performing one right after the other with no rest. So these will be labeled as A1, A2, or if it's a tricep, which is just a group of 3 exercises, it's B1, B2, B3. So this is where you literally, it's like a circuit almost. You can think of it like that. So 2 exercises grouped together. You do one exercise, then you do the next with no rest, and then you rest, and you kind of group them together. This is I love supersets for many reasons. One, so many people do it different ways. So like one that I like to do, you could do one where you do the agonist muscle and the antagonist muscle. So say you do a bicep one, and then you do a tricep one, and you group those together. So you're hitting both sides. So like you get one side and then you get the opposite. Another one is like doing the same muscle group. So you could do one that's in my program currently that's fucking disgusting, but it gives a good burn, is lateral raises supersetted with shoulder press. So hitting the same muscle group. A lot of people do like leg extensions with like leg curls or like something like that, just 2 exercises grouped together. And then there's also trisets as well, like so ones where it's three exercises grouped together. And I think that's it. Yes, that's it. Oh my gosh, I got through it. So does anyone have any questions? I know there's only 2 of you on, but let me know. Okay. Oh, I just got this message. I'm so excited. Okay. Can I just say I've been enjoying these calls so much because I've been with you for so long in previous programs. I've just felt like, I don't need to do the course content because I've heard it all before, but I made it one of my goals at the beginning to really come into this program with an open mind as if I'm fresh to training and I'm still learning so much and I'm not learning. It's a good reminder. Absolutely. And something as well, like obviously you've probably done this training like back in Glow 2021, but also like I know for myself, my knowledge, my understanding of things, the way, like I know me as a coach in 2021 versus me as a coach now, entirely different. So I know the way I put forth information or the extra added things that I might add and stuff. And my wisdom in my ripe age of fucking 21, but you know what I mean? Like obviously I learned so much in that time that I might do the same trainings, but they're going to be presented in a different way or taught in a different way, or there might be new things I will add in there. So I love that. It makes me really happy that you have been really diving into the trainings and really learning. And I know I try and tell everyone, like, it's really important, these trainings, because there's so many, like even the weekly Q&As we do with the whole team, like there's so many just different little nuggets of information that could really, like, if you take it on board, it could really be the thing that changes the game for you. So that makes me really happy that you kind of went into it really open-minded, and I agree with the statement so much. That makes me really happy. Obviously, Kirsty, you've been working with me for on and off for like, oh my God knows, like since the start almost. So yeah, I'm so glad that you guys have really been open-minded and really just diving into, and I've definitely just noticed a different energy with this group of girls with Healthy Girl Era. It's like my favorite thing at the moment. And it's just how open you girls are to learning, how like you've just kind of gone all into this program, and I love it. It makes me so happy, and that's why you girls are thriving the way you are. So very, very proud of you girls. That message just made my day. They just made my day so much. So if we're all good, no questions or anything, you just do a little thumbs up and then we can end it there. And for everyone watching the replay, thank you for watching the replay. Let me know if you have any questions. Oh, last note. So the next few trainings, as we coming up to the end, I can't remember them off the top of my head. They're written down somewhere. I know we're doing one on the menstrual cycle. I think we're doing one on reverse dieting, but then I have one that I was like gonna do, like staying in aligned action, sort of like one, like, you know, sticking it out, like that sort of idea. But then I was like, I'm not really like set on that. Like I'm not like fully all in on that topic. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? So I want to ask you guys, I'm going to ask in the group chat too, but if you guys have any topics you want to know more about that I can whip out a training on, I would love to know, because at the end of the day, like I'm here for you girls and what you girls need and what you might be struggling with or anything. So I think it'd be good just to have that, like, even I might do this in future programs like this where I just leave one lesson that's like, okay, what do you girls want to know? Like, what is a topic that you guys are really wanting more info on that is really going to help change things for you? One on weight fluctuations would be good. Oh yeah, like scale weight fluctuations. Like even like I did a post on it, like detaching self-worth from the scale. That would be a good one. Okay, I'm gonna jot that down. I'm not gonna jot it down in my head because I can't remember anything. But I'll also ask in the group. But yeah, that was just another point I wanted to finish on. Other than that, smash it out this week. I'm super excited to see how you all go. Let me just check the chat. Yeah, that'd be good. It's good to remind. Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes we forget. Even I sometimes forget, and you know, we all know why the scale fluctuates, but when we're in it and the emotions are there, we're kind of like, oh, but that'd be actually a really, really good reminder. I like that one. Okay, perfect. Well, I'll end it there and not take up too much of you girls' time. I appreciate you jumping on. I love you girls lots, and I will see you all in the group chat and in next week's call.